What's up, YouTube? It's your computer engineering gamer back with some fresh new content. Today we're going to be talking about the full-depth strategy of how I beat BioWare's 2003 masterpiece, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, using only the Force. I want to say upfront that I will be using clips from two different playthroughs where I did the challenge as I got far in one, and then I figured out new strategies along the way. This will also not be a Let's Play dump of video detailing all of the fights, just highlights with the overview of the overarching strategy. Enjoy the video. Kicking things off is some of the biggest choices during the game, character creation. When choosing your starter class, there are three options: a soldier, a scout, or a scoundrel. The choice becomes easy once you dive into the inner details of how these classes operate. For each of these classes, the action feats are of little to no importance, but the class feats make the entire difference. The soldier class is pretty obvious, a battle-ready fighter with no equal in combat. Essentially, this character is based off of hand-to-hand combat, bulky health, and access to all ranges of armor and weapon proficiencies. Not particularly our style for this playthrough. The next two are a little more difficult to discern. What would be the best to utilize? The scout focuses on exploration and survival, with fast growth of all saving throws and a high spread of class skills with a moderate vitality increase per level, the addition to the health pool. The scout gains implant upgrades on levels 4 and 8, allowing better implants with core stat boosters. The other class skill automatically gained on levels 4 and 7 are Uncanny Dodge, which gives a lower difficulty of -2 and -4 for grenade difficulty class respectively. A side effect of this ability is also retaining a dexterity bonus to defense when being sneak attacked by camouflage enemies, which doesn't come up too much in this game, but would be more prominent in KOTOR 2 if you have played it. The Scoundrel class is defined as a rogue basing their abilities on stealth and cunning. They have the lowest vitality gain 6 points per level and the lowest attack gain per level. However, their class is the only class to have a defense bonus applied, making enemy attack rolls harder to land. The bonus is applied by the class feat, Scoundrel's Luck. This bonus is applied at level 1, 6, and 12 with a defense bonus of 2, 4, and 6 respectively. This bonus is a great factor to offset the low health per level and light armor proficiency. The other class feat that Scoundrels get is Sneak Attack, which give damage bonuses on enemies from stealth attacks and stunned or immobilized enemies. This begins as a 1 to 6 damage roll with a 3.5 average to a 9 to 54 damage bonus with an average of 31.5 bonus damage by the end of the game. The saves are a low output with reflexes being the only fast growing saving throws, but this will not be an issue for multiple reasons I'll explain in a second. Going off of that note, because of the defense bonus and the sneak attack, the class to pick by far with little question is the Scoundrel class. With this in mind, we go ahead and create our character. We don't use any points in strength and equally distribute points into the other 5 attributes until they reach a +0 modifier. Force powers are primarily modified in power by your wisdom and charisma attribute modifiers. All damaging and status affecting force powers will have the difficulty class of 5 plus the attacker level plus attacker wisdom and charisma modifiers, as well as maximum force points increase with these two with the 40 base from force sensitive plus your wisdom plus your charisma multiplied by your Jedi level. Because of this, we increase them both to a +3 or +4. I'd have to confirm that at some point, but we'll say +3. The next important attribute is dexterity, as this directly affects defense, so getting a +1 on this is important. Having constitution and at a +1 is helpful to have more health, although ideally we just force our way through the enemies. And our party can handle most skills. For starting feat, it's kind of a waste to use it on an attacking feat, so placing it in something that applies a defense modifier or health like toughness or dueling is optimal. So we have our class and bonuses picked to start the adventure, and we're set up to use the Force to its max potential with future planning. But how much of this actually matters right now? There are two answers, sort of. The right now answer is nothing. We are actually weaker because we have no access to the Force. The real answer to that is a hidden gem that is not a secret, but many may overlook. Since this is a Force only run, it makes sense to wait and get as many Force powers to utilize, so that is exactly what this run does. When playing the game, you may opt to not level up your character. This allows you to save up to 6 levels of feats and powers to upgrade on your character once you get to Dantooine and unlock the Jedi classes. The game tutorials a level from 1 to 2 in the tutorial upon the Endar Spire, but beyond that, on Terrace, the game gives the player full control. To be honest, this run doesn't really matter until you get off of Terrace, and until then, I run around at level 2, making some of the beginning game kind of difficult. Specifically, the fights with the Vulkars and Brejek at the pod race, the Dark Jedi in the military base, and the harder enemies in the duel ring. This one has no effect on the game other than you gain some credits and not getting the blaster reward for beating Bendak, which we don't need. However, the payout in the end is really what matters. If you max level your standard class, you get to level 8, leaving only 12 levels for your Jedi class. In this scheme, you get 18 levels for your Jedi class. This makes a big impact on your Jedi abilities that are better explained once the Jedi class is chosen. Once you reach Dantooine, the real run begins. Once here, we get the chance to select our Jedi class. This is the only one option here, as the Jedi Consular gets the only passive Force feat. More Force power upgrades, and highest maximum Force. It is the Force class, so duh. The passive feat gives a bonus of +1, +2, and +4 to all difficulty class of the user's Force powers, making it increasingly difficult to avoid the effects of the Consular's Force abilities. This helps when rolling for damage and status afflicting Force powers. Now the Jedi level makes its appearance in the two areas of maximum and upgrades for the Force. The Counselor gets a total of 23 Force powers when starting from level 2, instead of at level 9 start, where it would only net you 14. The Counselor gains 8 Force points per level base. This allows you to gain up to 152 points of Force instead of only 96 when constricted to the 12 levels if you don't push off the levels. It becomes easily apparent how much this catapults your power from a lowly scoundrel to a Force Master in the early game. With our Jedi class unlocked, now becomes our last big decision chain in the game: Force power allocations. As this is the Force only run, our main priority is we need to deal damage. There are 6 Force powers in KOTOR 1 that deal damage, with 11 buffing, statusing, and healing powers. Half of the damaging powers are dark side, with 2 of them being universal, and due to that reason, we have chosen to follow the dark side of the Force. With the alignment adjustment, when the dark side of the Force is used, the dark side will be used at a 50% of the cost, while light side powers at 75% of the base cost, with no effect to universal powers. This will also determine what powers we use to deal damage, cost, status, and heal. Beyond these changes, many powers that will be vital to this run are restricted by armor, so we will only be using Jedi and Sith robes to avoid this altogether. This is another reason we put points into dexterity, as Jedi robes have high dex bonus ceilings, and chose the Scoundrel, which has a low armor proficiency, which we don't really need. Now moving on to our chosen Force abilities. Force up for damage. We can disqualify Throw Lightsaber, even though it always hits with true damage, because others do as well with more effects, so we skip this power. The other 5 remain good to keep in the arsenal, with all of them having a niche to fill. Force Shock deals the most area damage, when at a max level ranges from 10 to 60 damage, with a save halving the damage. This power is highly utilized, as it will always damage and attacks the enemy's Force meter the same amount of damage dealt if a Force-wielding enemy is attacked. This also is used to dispatch large groups of enemies quickly, damaging all enemies within 10 meters of the targeted enemy once it becomes Force Storm. Wound evolves into Choke and then Kill. This Force power focuses on killing single targets, and is most useful if you can overcome a boss's saving throw. When fully upgraded, it will take half of the target's health, and if a saving throw is successful, will deal damage equal to the user's attacking level, equivalent to 20 at the maximum level. The utilization of this skill is unmatched against large health enemies such as the Tyranitar, Malak, or Bastila at the endgame. This boils down to essential in the arsenal as the boss killer. The Force Push is similar to Force Storm, with its area effect once it becomes Force Wave. This deals true damage equal to 1.5 the attacker's level, which yes, is less than the Force Whirlwind if you can do the math. However, the wider area of the effect of a 30-meter diameter with the ability to incapacitate many with the effect of a stun, it becomes a superior upgrade. The damage capability is less than that of Storm, with a true 30 damage dealt at level 20, and half with a saving throw gives them each different advantages, and both worth having. These 3 reign as the most superior utilized Force powers in the entire playthrough. Destroy Droid was used in conjunction with Storm to disable droids and deal the most single damage to droids. Even more utilized than this, however, was the Drain Life ability. This allows you to deal a range of 10 to 40 points of damage and heal the same amount. A save will net half the benefits, however, in long fights or fights where damage is being taken from groups or enemies, or unsuccessful rolls from Force powers, this power becomes crucial to survive. Due to the higher Force cost of Force Heal, this is better to use when near living opponents. This transitions us to beyond the damaging powers. The most important powers outside of these are Insanity, Heal, Affect Mind, Burst of Speed, Force Resistance, and Energy Resistance. First ones to take are Affect Mind, Heal, and Energy Resistance, as the second 2 will keep you alive, and the Affect Mind will net benefits in the world dialogue for credits and such. Force Resistance is good to deal with groups of Dark Jedi, especially later in the Starforge, and Insanity was good for a longer stun than the Force Wave with minimal Force expense. But I can say with absolute certainty, without a shred of doubt, and it's not up for debate, Burst of Speed, later leading to Master Speed, is the single best force power in the game. This power can be utilized by all classes and gain many benefits. Not only does it give you extra attacks per round, but also a passive defense bonus of +4 to avoid being hit from all non-force attacking sources. This burst of speed also allows you to avoid enemies and escape combat quickly. However, this is not even where the real benefits shine. The real benefit is traversing the desert on Tatooine. No, but seriously, this power is amazing, and the extra traversal speed makes me constantly have this power on and active. However, the blur on the screen can be annoying but overwhelming, but my god, just not wasting your time walking in this entire game is worth a dump of 3 force points upgrades. This playthrough really only calls for an upgrade to Night Speed, as the +4 defense boost is not increased at Master Speed, and we don't need the extra attacks. Some of the major fun moments of the game mostly include boss fights, when you can successfully just land force chokes to avoid fighting them completely. Most prominently is the dopamine of choking Malak back to back on the Leviathan. The next finer moments was being able to string together big Force Storm, Wave, and Insanity combos to completely incapacitate enemies while draining their health with Death Field when necessary. For the final boss fights, Bastila was able to be overcome with a force choke to start after every time she and your character shared dialogue, until I forced her to stand by my side as she continued to use battle meditation to wipe out the Republic fleet. Malak was as simple as switching between Force Choke and Force Storm while maintaining the speed passive to dodge hits and run away when choke rolls didn't land. After you get him down to where he drains the first Jedi for his health, I make my way around draining them all myself, while just avoiding Malak as much as possible, to avoid him repeatedly healing himself. Whenever necessary, by him catching up and getting hits in while I did this, I just used Death Field to either heal from him or keep my health up from using the Jedi. Once I drained all of the Jedi, I rinse and repeat choking Storm until the Dark Lord falls, where I take my rightful place as the Dark Lord of the Sith and reign over the galaxy with my unending fleet from the Star Forge. And there you have it. That is how I beat KOTOR using only the Force. Mostly. Obviously, party characters will attack enemies, but I set them to utilize max force before doing so that they drain their force meters, or I just manually switch to them and set them to attack with force powers. Overall, I think I managed it pretty well, and I think it still constitutes a good run. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, as I will be trying to upload more content of my Twitch streams with my friends, edited, and more of these full dive essays. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitch and watch these streams with me and my friends. Hope you enjoyed the video. Peace.